On this edition of the Gallifreyan Gunner, we're going to take this rifle out to the range and we're going to do some of this. Welcome back to my channel. Back in May of 2020, the Canadian government issued an order in council which restricted or prohibited about 1,500 makes and models of firearm in Canada, most particularly being the AR-15 platform. And overnight, all the AR-15s in Canada became safe queens. We couldn't take them to the range. We couldn't basically do anything with them while they decided how they were going to dispose of them. Not long after that, a company out of Barrie, Ontario introduced a receiver kit called the Renegade, which allowed you to basically strip the parts off of your AR-15, almost all of the parts, and attach it to this receiver and change it into a straight pull bolt action rifle. And it was non-restricted to boot, so depending on what caliber you did it up in, you could actually take it hunting. And you didn't need authorization to transport, all those sorts of lovely things. I got one of those receiver kits, and the original plan was to strip my C8 clone and turn it into a straight pull rifle until we figured out what was going to be happening. It started out that way, but over the course of the build, which I documented in a number of videos that are on this channel, I got new parts, I kind of changed course a little bit, and I ended up building this particular rifle right here. Actually, I ended up using very few parts off my original AR. I think about the only part that carried over from one to the other is the bolt and the actual buttstock. Everything else were parts I either had, spare parts I had on hand, or things that I picked up along the way. And if you saw my last video where I finished the build and then got a short little test firing in, you'll see that there's been some changes even since then. For example, if you recall, if you saw the last video, the free-floating handguard was this beautiful fire engine red that is now been Cerakoted to olive green. I got a different style of pistol grip. I still went with the BCM trigger, and at that time I was using a knockoff EOTech that I'd used on my AR platform for a while, and what happened very quickly was this EOTech, which worked great on my AR and the semi-automatic, as soon as I started getting the extra tiny bit of recoil from the bolt action rifle, things just went wrong really bad. So I ended up trading this up for a scope. This is a Cabela's 223 scope, and this is basically the rifle as we see now. I think the only thing that I'm going to be changing up after this is I'm going to be getting a different stock for it. Hopefully one of the new Magpul PRS Lite stocks, if it ever comes out. But basically, we have this rifle now, and let's take a closer look. So we have the 16-inch barrel, Magpul backup sight, folding bipod. We have a caliber-specific Cabela's rifle scope on a cantilevered scope mount. BCM trigger that breaks cleanly at 7 pounds. We have a Magpul pistol grip and the Car 15 style collapsible stock from my old rifle. One of the features of the Renegade rifle is the fact that you can put the charging handle on either side of the rifle based on your preference. And one thing that I did notice when I was out at the range is because it doesn't have that bolt hold open, manipulating the rifle when you're done shooting is a little awkward. So what I did is I went ahead and I actually, since that range session, is I went and I got a second charging handle. Now, back about 5 months ago now, when I originally finished the rifle, I only managed to get it to the range for a couple of hours, about a day before all the ranges in Ontario were closed due to that particular wave of COVID coming through. So all I got to do was make sure that the actual rifle functioned, but I didn't get a chance to sight it in. I didn't really get a chance to get a feel on how this rifle would perform. So since then, it's had about 200 rounds through it. Just my last range trip is when I got the scope on it. And we're going to take a look at some of that range footage now. I will preface this by saying that, as I said in my GSG 16 video, I'm an iron sight guy. That's all my shooting that I've done, mostly through Lee Enfields and stuff like that, through the cadet program and then afterwards. So scopes are a bit new to me, so getting used to that and sighting it in was a bit of a new challenge. But spoiler alert, I'm actually pretty impressed with this rifle, and I'll show you how we did at the range. The following clips were filmed under COVID conditions with physical distancing between shooters and masks worn when not shooting. So that was 5 rounds at 25 yards. The grouping measured out to just under 5/8 of an inch all told. So not bad for the conditions. And this next clip we're going to see is basically just a shot from behind so you can see the entire rifle in action. And finally, this last clip, once again, it's just 5 rounds at a 25 yard target, and it's just meant to show the cycling of the bolt. And there we go. Once again, I'm perfectly happy with this rifle. It's a really good, accurate, reliable rifle so far. The groupings are down to my marksmanship, not the accuracy of this rifle. The braking period is almost done, and I haven't had so much as a misfeed. I haven't had any problems with this rifle whatsoever other than that EOTech sight, and that has nothing to do with the rifle itself. As an aside, Maple Ridge Armories has taken the feedback from current Renegade owners, and they've come out with a Mark II Renegade receiver, which they've done things like they've changed the design of the flared magwell just slightly, and they've added an AR style bolt hold open, which everybody was asking for. And I'm sure at some point I will be getting that and migrating all of these parts over to a new rifle. But until then, I'm looking forward to putting through many, many more rounds in the coming years. If you like the content on my channel, please make sure you like and subscribe and click that little notification bell. Going forward, I'm going to be doing some videos of some of my other firearms. I have some classic stuff, and we'll get them out of the range, and we'll take a look at it here. So until then, take care.